Evening and welcome to Netzach Yisrael's daily Kitzur Shulchan Aruch. Today we are continuing with Siman, which is the halachas of ribis, levels of interest, and we're up to Sif Tes Zayin. Also, liknos tavua or shadova ba'agdamas mos. It's forbidden to purchase produce or anything else, giving the money in advance. So you pay in advance and you get the produce later. We're worried that in the meantime, the actual stuff that you've bought will go up in price in the time when you actually get it. So when you receive it, it's gone up in price. Turns out the person who bought the produce ends up getting more than he paid for because he paid for it much earlier. But if the person who's selling it already has all the stuff that he's actually selling at the time when the money is being paid, even though he's not actually giving it to the lokeach until a later time, then it's permitted. Because if someone has something, they can sell it for even much cheaper than it's worth, whatever they want. Now, even if the stuff which is being sold isn't yet completely finished, it requires one or two steps further processing before it's ready. Nevertheless, it's considered as if it's complete, and it's mutter to arrange to sell it now and pay and actually hand it over later. But if it's lacking 3 steps or more, then it's considered like it's not ready yet, and then it's also because you might go up in value by the time you deliver it. Suppose the price of that produce is now already well established, then you can pay now and receive it later if you're buying it at that price. Even if the person selling it doesn't actually have any of it, because even if the price of the produce goes up later, the person buying it hasn't benefited in any way, hasn't profited by paying earlier. Since at the time when he paid, he could have bought the produce at that price with the money which he had, because that was the going price. And since at the time when the deal was struck, it was allowed, even if the produce then goes up in value later, at the time when it gets paid, and even if the person who's selling it, therefore, because it's gone up in value, doesn't actually want to hand over the produce that was agreed upon, he can transfer that money to some other produce and give it. Or even he can pay money back at the current value of the produce. In other words, even if he paid, let's say, £100 for the produce at the time when it was a known price of £100, and later when he gets to pay it off, it's now worth £120. Because the original agreement was okay, was mutter, therefore the seller can change it and pay 120 later and to buy it. Someone who's got some produce which in one location is sold cheaply, in one place it's sold for a higher value. And his friend says to him, give me this produce, and I will take it to where it's sold for a higher price. And I'll sell it there for that higher price. And I will use the money from the sale for my own purposes for a certain amount of time. And then I'll come back and I'll pay you back. And according to what it was worth in that place, after deducting the expenses for the actual produce. Also, then if the person who's buying it effectively is responsible for it when it's on the journey to the place where it's sold at a high value, then it's also. But if the person selling it retains the responsibility for it on the journey, then it's permitted. So long as he gives to the person who's selling, the person who's taking it, some money to in compensation for his bother of actually taking it to the other place. So if you test. You're allowed to lend his friend 100 gold coins, 100 denarim, in order to buy produce with them in a fair or market. And then when they return home, and the arrangement is that when he comes back from wherever he's gone, trade fair that he's gone to, he'll pay back 120 denarim for it. So that's okay. As long as the person who's lending the money accepts the produce, takes it into his house, and he also takes responsibility for it when it's on the journey. To have a commerciation, because then it's like he's got a portion in the profit of the produce, since he's accepted responsibility if anything goes wrong with it, it's on his account, then it's like he's got a portion in. Let's say Reuben's going somewhere where you can buy produce at a cheaper price. Shimon can say to him, bring me back some produce from there, and I'll give you a certain amount of profit above what you paid for it. So long as Reuben retains responsibility for the produce up until the point where he hands it over to Shimon. Because then it's like Reuben's buying it and selling it to Shimon, rather than Reuben paying up front and Shimon paying him back. You're allowed to raise the price of rent of land. Kitzur, what's he talking about here? An example. Suppose someone rents out a courtyard to somebody, but on my loan, he says to him, but before he takes possession of it, he says to him, if you pay me the whole year's rent in one go, then I rent it out for you for 10 gold coins for the whole year. If you pay me each month at a time, then you have to pay me 1 gold coin each month, obviously for a total of 12. That is okay. The reason is, because according to the rules, the letter of the law, rent is not due until the end of the rental period. Therefore, when he takes payment of 1 gold coin per month, which turns out 12 for the whole year, that's not gaining reward for waiting for the payment, because he's not waiting for the payment because there was no requirement to pay earlier. And when he says to me, if you gave it to me all the money straight away, you could get it for 10. Then what's happening is that he's actually giving him 2 gold coins off, because he's in compensation for him paying earlier than he was required to pay. So rather than him getting extra money by waiting, on the contrary, the arrangement is that he will deduct money from what's due by paying earlier. And that is permitted. Have a good evening.